Well, good morning. CQ, the old friends net. This is N4LQ calling CQ, the old friends net. The net is an AM net. Anybody that can generate an AM signal is welcome to join in. And we operate in the round table fashion, taking a list of calls and then going around the table. The net operates here on 3715 every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 o'clock a.m. and on Sundays at 4 p.m. Those wishing to check in, please call.
Good morning, Steve, WA4LLR.
KZ4 Bravo.
K4 GDN.
W4KR.
WB4 NKL.
K3LS.
WA4EVK.
K4JAL.
Kilo.
Who's the Kilo? WB4ARK.
W4MEC.
All right, let me go down the list here and see what I've got. I think, did I hear N4AK?
Yes, check me in. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Got you, Glenn. Okay. I think I got everybody. Any more check-ins? All right, here's what I've got. Correct me if I'm wrong, which I usually am. WA4LLR, KZ4B, K4GDN, W4KR, WB4NKL, K3OS, WA4EVK, K4JAL, N4AK, and WB4ARK, and W4MEC. Do we have any more check-ins or corrections? Well, 12 check-ins. That's last Tuesday I think we had 4, so big improvement. What is going on? I guess the timing is right. It's a gloomy day, 36 degrees here, and I think it's drizzled most of the night, and I have no idea how much accumulation we've accomplished here today, but I'm running the Johnson Challanger and driving the amplifier to about 240 watts carrier power, and the loop antenna. So let's go ahead and start the round. WA4LLR, N4LQ.
All right, N4LQ. And the net, WA4LLR. Well, good morning to everybody. We've got 36 degrees. Had a little over half an inch of rain and no ice that I've seen, which I'm extremely thankful for. Everybody's got a great signal this morning. Band seems to be in really good shape. Running the Babcock MT5B with the SB220 and receiving on an HQ180. So those are the conditions that prevail. Down to you, John, KZ4B, WA4LLR.
Okay, WA4LLR. Woof, woof. The modulation, the mic connector in my plug was not making good contact. We're on the usual AL82 being driven by the T150, and the noise level is typically low, about S6, and everybody's booming in, so conditions are quite good, and there is no snow or ice, so I'm with Dave. Life is good. So we'll pass it on over to George, K4GDN in the group, KZ4B, over.
KZ4B in the groups, K4GDN. Prepping everybody pretty well here in Myrtle Beach. It's in the upper 40s when I came out here to the shack this morning at 7:30. We had rain last night. There's still a little bit coming down, not a whole heck of a lot. This morning we're running the Ranger 2. It's about, I'm loading it lightly into 6 dB attenuator, sending about 8 watts to the homebrew 811. Getting out about 125 watts to the in-fed half wave right now. In the next transmission, I'm going to switch over from the in-fed half wave to my capacity is right. So with that, I'll pass it on. And Stan, coming to you, W4KR K4GDN.
Okay, George, good morning to you. K4GDN. Any old friends group this morning, the big old friends group this morning. This is W4KR. Well, good morning, everybody. Temperature here in Walhalla this morning is 40 degrees, very heavily overcast. It's barely daylight, in fact, but we didn't have any rain nor snow last night, so it's tis where it is. I don't think the temperature. I guess the temperature is only supposed to go up just a little bit today. So kind of what we have is what we're going to have. Cliff, you're coming up next. I wonder, Cliff, if you're coming to, if you're planning on coming down to Spartanburg come Thursday. And Cliff, likewise, I looked. I got Wooder Maze scoped in, and if the weather's decent, I'll come up Saturday. Let's see. And this morning I'm running the Viking 500 and a 183D, same old dipole, up 100 feet. WB4NKL, W4KR.
And W4KR, WB4NKL. Good deal, Stan. Good copy. George, you're sounding good on the Ranger and the homebrew 811. In some pretty good shape. I was telling you before the net, quite a bit of AM activity this morning. We had stuff on 3890 and 3880 and of course 3885, and then dropped down here in 3725, and there's a group down on 3695. So all of them sounding pretty decent this morning. Yeah, I'm planning on the lesson stand. Got to meet up with several different folks down there this time. I sold a Ranger to, or a X100 to Mir, and I got to deliver that. And then I've got some radios for Lawson Summerall. Supposed to meet him at the meeting, so looking forward to it. Got 41 degrees here, and still got some light rain. I think it's rained over all night. I don't know what the accumulation is. We took the rain gauge in, keep it from freezing, but it sounds like it's a little warmer here than it is at everybody else's location. So I don't think it's supposed to get any warmer, and maybe the rain will move on out, but we were needing some rain anyway. Go ahead, Gary. K3OS, WB4NKL.
All right, Cliff, thank you. WB4NKL, K3OS. I want to tell you guys that it's 75 degrees and sunny on the shores of Lake Hickory, but you would all call me some strange names here. So no, not the same, and kind of almost a little foggy looking out over the lake here this morning. I'm on the Gonset Twins, just barefoot. About watt meter says about 40 watts here into the 200-foot long inverted V that we got outside, and I think it's about 36 degrees here, but I don't and raining. I don't see any ice at all. Looking forward, I'm going to be down Thursday for lunch. Looking forward to seeing some of your smiling faces. Let's see. And Boone is one of those smiling faces. WA4EVK, K3OS, good.
K3OS in the group, WA4EVK. Yep, you'll see my smiling face Thursday if nothing happens in between. It's about 38 degrees here in Pickens. I didn't notice any rain when I did a quick look outside this morning. But I'm like Dave and everybody, I'm real happy not to see any ice on anything, although I didn't expect it. I'm running the AF68 into the Swan Mark 1 amp out to a 80 meter in-fed halfway. My 160 meter antenna is down. I hope to get that up when it quits raining. Get that back up. And that's about it for right now here in Pickens. And I'm going to send it on over to Jimmy. K4JL, WA4EVK.
WA4EVK, K4JAL. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm on the ART-13 as usual, going out through in-fed halfway, listening on the Drake 2A, hearing everybody really well. And Gary, that's a great little rig. Those guys, it's M4YN's got a set of those things, and they really do a good job. I remember lusting after those back when I was a teenager. They were in all the ham magazines. Cute-looking little rig. Over to you, Glenn. N4AK, K4JAL.
K4JAL in the group. November 4 Alpha Kilo. Well, interesting. Cliff, it's exactly set 41 degrees and drizzle over here at sunset this morning. It was funny how the temperatures are the same, and we're quite a ways apart. So I'm on the FTDX10 in the bedroom here, and antique part is SB200 and in-fed half-wave antenna. I put online, some of you have seen it, a nice picture of Joe Galt. As we remember Joe, who always gave out all these presents and made our Christmas meeting special up in Spartanburg. So it's interesting that all the signals are either 15 over 9 or I got a couple of 20 over 9s from Moon and from W4KR Stan. Stan, we're happy to have you back down south before the weather closes in. It keeps you up north. So, Buddy, coming to you, and a few meetings ago I mentioned something, but you didn't acknowledge it. Maybe you didn't, maybe my signal wasn't good that day. But you know, when we first started, there were 3 guys that owned the company, I guess. I'm not sure. But Mr. Brannon, Lou Brannon was one of them. You've heard that name, Lou Brannon. He's still alive at 101 years old. I talked to him the other day. WB4ARK, November 4 Alpha Kilo.
N4AK, WB4ARK. Yes, I remember you talking about him, and it's good to see that he's still living and very cognizant, as you put it when you talked to him. Yeah, a lot of times when people get to be that age, they become incognizant. And so that's very good that he's recognizes everyone. Well, we had 0.62 inches of rain measured at 7 o'clock this morning, and we had 0.08 inches the day before.
on Monday. The temperature here is 36 degrees and a little chilly outside, but no icing or anything like that. So that's about it. So over to W4MEC, WB4ARK.
Okay, WB4ARK in the group. W4MEC. Good morning, everybody. Everybody's booming in here this morning. Good signal from George. We got about 36 degrees. I have not looked at the rain gauge. I don't see any ice out there. My wife was a little concerned, so she didn't get her why this morning, but she'll go a little later on. Running an ART-13, that should be fairly obvious, on the dynamotor with HQ129X doing the receiving. And yeah, John, your audio kind of broke up and then went away, but whatever you did, you got it back again, so good for that. And my wife and I spent yesterday making space on the wall there for our piece of furniture we bought over the weekend, and which wasn't supposed to be here for 3 weeks, and it's coming this morning. So we had to get busy. Stan, good to hear you back from Michigan and on the air again, so that's great to hear you. And let's see, be good to see Lawson. I don't know, some of you fellas probably don't know him. He actually has come to a couple of old friends meetings a long time ago, and one time or the other he would check in a long time ago, and I can't remember what he was running, Drake Sea Line, I think, but he'd be here, and you might remember when he shows up. So let me send it back to Steve. N4LQ in the group, W4MEC.
Okay, Charlie, wasn't there a lawnmower engine called a Lawson at one time?
I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, Lawson Tecumseh or something. Anyway, this is N4LQ. Do we have any late check-ins to the old Friends Net? Come now. All right. Let's see. Well, it's a good round and a good crowd, and everybody's signal is loud and clear here. No winners and no losers. And I agree, Gary, that Gonset is a cool rig. I'd like to have a pair of those Gonset twins. Don't take up a lot of room, I don't think. And let's see, Jimmy sounds great on the R13, and Charlie's R13 sounds better than usual. I don't hear that real high-pitched whine from the generator. So either my ears are plugged up or you figured out some way to kind of quieten it down a little bit. Sounds great though. And John, yeah, you finally got the mic working there. Sounds like it may be okay now. And several of you using in-fed half waves. I've noticed that, and they all sound great. So let's see. Okay, on the half inch, I think we probably got half inch of rain, but it was a gentle rain, and they say that's good. Let's see. Like I said, I'm running the Challanger, the Johnson Challanger. It uses a pair of 6 DQ6s in the final, and it's driven by a 6 DQ6. So Johnson must have got a deal on 6 DQ6 tubes. And it's screen modulated with a 6AQ5, so it runs pretty cool. Dog came in during the last round, and she was all wet, wanted to be dried off. She comes in and stands there until I get the towel, which I keep handy here, and dry her off, and then she goes her merry way. And I got a text message from Brian KN4R Sunday. He said he was in Tunisia and getting ready to head into Algiers. And I thought, boy, he's got more guts than I have. I wondered if they call the hams their hams, or if they call them something else. I kind of thought maybe they might call them something else. But 7X2, that's the prefix for Algiers, 7X2. Never heard one. I don't think I've worked Algiers. Anyhow, let's see. With that, I think I'll turn around for another beautiful round of AEM, WA4LLR on the high fidelity Babcock. It's N4LQ.
N4LQ, WA4LLR. Nice audio on that Challanger. Steve, sounds really good. It's clear, just clean as what's the old saying, as a hound's tooth. Anyway, I just hope they don't call the hams hostages over there. I pray that Brian has a safe trip. Charlie, something coming before it was promised. Man, you need to write that one down. Coming 3 weeks early. Holy mackerel. You're living right over there, brother. Buddy, good morning to you. Well, you got about the same amount of rain as we did, and we needed it here. Good morning, Glenn. Yeah, appreciate that picture of Joe. I sure miss him. He was a very special fella. I enjoyed talking with him about his work in grief counseling and so much more. Let's see, Jimmy, the AR-213 is sounding good this morning. I wish you and Don could come down to the luncheon, but I understand it's a little bit of a drive for you. Boom, the AF-68 sounds good, and yeah, I've always liked those Gonset twins. Nice chrome and sound good too. Cliff, looking forward to seeing you, and I guess Chuck's coming down with you at the luncheon. And Stan, the 500, is always doing a great job. Let's see, George, the Ranger 2 sounds good, and with the end fed, you were nice and strong up here, up between 15 and 20 over, so good signal. John, glad you got the mic plugged in well and cleared up the breaking up there. Well, let's see, the space weather's become more active since we've had a X-class flare and a few other lower intensity ones. Sunspot count was 175, solar flux index was 196, and the K is 2. So upper bands ought to be popping pretty good today. A few items from this day in history. On this day in 1823, President James Monroe proclaimed the Monroe Doctrine, which was going to limit our sphere of influence to the Western Hemisphere. Okay. Let's see what else is going on. On this day in 2001, Enron, after a massive fraud, filed for bankruptcy. On this day in 1993, Pablo Escobar, the head of the Medellin cartel, was killed in a gunfight. On this day in 1982, William DeVries implanted the first permanent artificial heart in Barney Clark. Aluminum and plastic. Let's see, on this day in 1971, the United Arab Emirates was formed. And on this day in 1942, scientists led by Enrico Fermi conducted the world's first controlled self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction at the University of Chicago. So that's enough for this day in history. Here it comes, John, KZ4B, WA4LLR.
Okay, WA4LLR in the group, KZ4B, fine business, Dave. Great signal as always. And conditions are just fantastic today. They could not be better. if somebody could tell me what the QTH and call is for Wilson Summerall, it seems like I remember that call from back when I was a kid, and I think my grandfather used to work him, W4SNI in Darlington, South Carolina. So a refresher on Lawson Summerall, if somebody could do that. And Enron expiring. That really screwed me up. I worked for Duke Floor Daniel, and we were just rolling along when Enron expired. That made power plants that, like we were designing, 20 cents or 10 cents on the dollar. So that was it for Duke Floor Daniel, and that was not too good. Shifting gears, Steve, I kept wondering how it is that these screen grid modulated transmitters can operate well over 100% modulation. And I had not been able to discover a good explanation till I read an article in Electric Radio, and apparently a stock, and this is almost universal, a stock screen grid modulated rig is not capable, with the circuits they were using, are not capable, but about 75 to 80% modulation. And the reason given was that it can go positive without limit, although of course at some point it distorts, but it cannot go below about 15 or 20% negative because of the nature of the circuitry. And therefore, you can go 15 or 20% or more positive without going below negative or even getting there. And so that guys like Temtron and others would modify the amplifier or the screen grid modulated rig where it would go 100%, which allowed it to go negative. Well, if you're barefoot and that's all you've got, that is an improvement. But if you're driving a linear like most of us are, that's not so hot, because that screws with the ability to go 15 or 20% over S9, or excuse me, over 100%. So if you've got an amp, the modified screen grid modulated transmitters with some of the modifications are not a good thing. Just leave it stock. So if anybody has anything to add to that or refutes it or whatever, please pipe up. And let's see, what else was I going to comment on? I guess it can go in the next round. Everybody just sounds great. Take it away, George. You're booming in. K4GDN and the group. KZ4B, over.
KZ4B and the group's K4GDN. And everybody's coming in here real well. I'm still on the infant half wave, and if you would make a note of your meter readings, I'm going to switch over now. I'm going to drop out for about a half a minute and switch antennas and I'm going to come back up on the butternut vertical. So stand by here just for a minute. Okay, we're back on the butternut vertical. We're not about the same power. It really didn't change anything. So you might notice that see what the readings look like. Reception seems to be a little bit quieter on the butternut, which sometimes surprises me. The butternut seems to be a little bit quieter than the passive. So Steve, your signal looks good on the scope. I wouldn't think there was anything other than high level AM. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to you, Stan, and I'll appreciate comments on how this sounds, if it's any better or worse than the inset half wave. W4KR in the group, K4GDN.
Okay, George, K4GDN, W4KR. I would suggest go back to the original antenna. About a 15 dB difference here, George. And I guess I'm about the furthest west of the crew here this morning. A little bit difficult copy because there's somebody, one of the guys up on 25 is who I think is running an Apache, is really buckshotting, and he was taking you out. And I was looking. I turned on the other. I heard him scratching earlier, but with one of the local guys, he wasn't bothering anybody. I had turned on the 7000 SDR transceiver so I could watch the pan adapter, and yeah, he's wide. He lives over in the Atlanta area. But like I say, about a 50. Whether it's, I wouldn't put it to conditions, George, because you made the switch pretty quick. But the other antenna was doing better here. With regard to Lawson, John, you wanted to know what Lawson's call was. It's W4 Echo Mike Fox, W4 EMF. Used to be WA4 EMF, but he changed that. Lawson used to live in Asheville, but about a year ago he moved to Charlotte. He's living with his son and one of his sons and daughter-in-law at their home outside of Charlotte. Let's see. I have one of Lawson's amplifier creations. It's a sideband amplifier. It has 3 813s in it, and I drive it with the 7300. It sits up on 40 meters most of the time. It's a good box, good amplifier. And he's of course he designed a lot of stuff over the years, and did well. Did especially well using GI7 tubes in some amplifier conversions. Let me see. Oh, got a question for everybody. I have to change my phone number in the Google, in Google, and I can't for the life of me get it to happen. If anybody has gone through that, how do you get into their system to change your phone number? Because sometimes they want to send you a text message, and then I'm stumped, and I've hunted for phone numbers for them, but don't see any. Dave, you mentioned heart transplants. The first heart transplant that was done in the Midwest was done in Ann Arbor, at University of Michigan Hospital, and my wife, God rest her soul, was head of nursing in that. They did that in a NIH-funded research unit, and she was head of nursing for that hospital within a hospital at that time, and had some interesting stories to tell about how transplants were going in their very early days. And as far as Enron's concerned, the guy at the Justice Department who is the one that was involved in several of the president's federal cases, was the guy that did that, that led that thing for the federal government for Enron, and he was eventually, his cases were eventually overturned by the Supreme Court, and he did a lot of damage to a lot of people. John, you weren't, your company wasn't the only one. And, you know, the entire Arthur Anderson accounting house got run over in that whole deal, which was kind of sad. Glad to hear that Lawson's coming Thursday. Yeah, look forward to that. Lawson, long transmission for Stan, who talked too long today. Here it comes, Cliff. WA4 NKL, W4KR.
Okay, Stan, W4KR. It's WB4NKL. Yeah, it's, I'm glad Lawson's, well, I guess I'm responsible for Lawson coming. I've got a couple radios that he brought me in Shelby that I got repaired for him, and he's coming to Spartanburg instead of Limestone's a lot closer for him. But be good to see him. I've always liked talking to Lawson, and he did some beautiful work on the amplifiers over the years. I've seen some of his conversions. He'd take the SP, the conduction cooled Heathkit amp, and put a Russian GU7 in there, and excellent work on converting some of that stuff. And then he's built some nice amps too from scratch. Let's see, John. I've read a lot of those articles in Electric Radio on the screen modulated mods, and about all of them involve adding a bias or negative supply in there to where you can bring the screen voltage lower on the negative peaks. But I've never have tried that myself. But they sound good without mods, so it looks like a lot of extra work for nothing. If you've got the positive peaks, not having go all the way to negative is probably a good thing. Not too much else here. George, the antenna, I couldn't tell a lot of difference here. Stan said he noticed quite a bit of difference, but here, you wasn't and didn't have as much QSB on the vertical as you did on the I don't think the signal's any stronger, but it wasn't varying as much on the vertical as it was the end fed, so it's kind of strange. Go ahead, Gary, K3OS, WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff, WB4NKL, K3OS. Yeah, I'll go around. Well, I don't know, but you know, Steve's modulation sounds good. John's is a little down, but you know, it seems to me that all the screen stuff works better today than it did when I was using it as a kid. Maybe it was just those crummy bullet crystal mics that we all had, you know, that made them sound so crummy. Or we didn't tune them up right. That was part of the problem. I didn't know what I was doing back then. But anyway, they sure sound, all of them sure sound good today. I've been happy with the Gonset twins, by the way, guys, and the receive audio on the receiver, the G66, is just wonderful and clean, clear. I had to put a new speaker in it because the other one was shot, but the whole package just sounds really good, so I'm pleased. They are small size, except for the fact that you've got the power supply and the modulator as a third box, which is bigger than, I swear, the other two. And of course, in traditional style, the modulator is in the power supply box. And I cannot imagine having this unit in a mobile where, you know, you got the power supply close to the battery, and you got to run a long high impedance mic cord. You know, plus the on-off switch is there too. I guess you could remote it, but it's a crazy, you know, scenario. The two units themselves are small, but it's the mic, the power supply, all that stuff that make it kind of cumbersome. But kind of like the way it looks, and it's been, for the most part, performing really well over the past couple of years that I've owned it and done some work on it, obviously. So anyway, let me, whoops, who's next in, Boone. WA4EVK, take it away, K3OS.
K3OS in the group, WA4EVK. Gary, I'd have to agree with you on one thing, and that's that the screen grid modulated stuff seems to, it sounds better these days, I guess, than it did back then. And I would agree with the cause. My dummy load was a light bulb and so forth, and I was definitely using a cheaper mic that I wouldn't even use today at all for AM. Very low fidelity, one of the Sures. I think I've still got one like it. But someone mentioned Brian going to Algeria. I sure hope he's careful. Back in the day, I worked for a very large oil well drilling company that we had a contract in Algeria. And the two words I can think of concerning radio gear with the Algerian government was prisoner and paranoid. They were extremely paranoid about radio equipment. If you recall, with radio equipment which was not fully licensed by the government, you were immediately looked at as a spy, and you could become a prisoner real quick. Anyone, any further interest in that, well, I'll save it to the meeting Thursday. But it was quite an adventure back then, moving stuff in and out of that country. And with that, I'm going to send it over to Jimmy, K4JAL to take it, WA4EVK.
WA4EVK, K4JAL. Well, I wonder what Brian is doing over there in that neck of the woods anyway. I was in Tunis back in the 80s, and I went to the airport there to make a presentation for a flight information system. And they speak Berber naturally, and French is the second language, and Arabic third. And I don't speak any of those, but they did speak French, and I don't speak French either, so I made my pitch through an interpreter and ended up getting awarded the contract. But then I got myself on out of that place. It's a beautiful city, though, but I wonder what Brian's doing over there. And you guys were talking about Enron. They clipped me for $5,000. I know they killed a lot of companies and embarrassed a lot of people, but that was personal. I didn't like them a bit. Over to you, Glenn. N4AK, K4JAL.
Okay, Jimmy, K4JAL in the group, N4AK. Well, Enron, luckily I hadn't decided to do any investments by then. I was all in mutual funds, so I got lucky, I guess, but that was a mess. George, you dropped down to about a S5 to 7 with QSB. Could barely copy you because of some noise, so the vertical antenna didn't work well for my particular location. And I remember back in the day when we were all on AM with the little DX35s and Johnson units, a lot of us, the most sophisticated microphone we had was a little Crystal JT30. Cost about $12 from Bursting Appleby. Charlie, please make a note. I've got a mailing change our little post office closed down here in Sunset. So my mailing address now is P.O. Box 746. Again, P.O. Box 746, Pickens, P-I-C-K-E-N-S, Pickens, South Carolina, 29671-0746. 29671-0746. So anyway, I spent a full day and still haven't got all my address changes into Visa and Capital One and USAA and the other insurance companies. It's just been a total mess that they abruptly closed the post office down, gave us 1 day notice, and told us to go pick up our mail down in Pickens. How about that? 1 day notice. Here at the season, people had packages on the way, and oh well, so it goes. Let's see. Brian, over in that part of the world, seems like way back when Mary and I would travel, we went across Gibraltar, from Gibraltar into North Africa, and then took some bus tours down some town named Marrakesh or something, keeps ringing around, but maybe, anyway, all I remember is the same way. A lot of people selling a lot of rugs. Get the call to prayer several times a day, and I was happy to get out of there, even way back 30 or 40 years ago. That's so much for world travel. Enjoying the chat this morning with you fellas. So, buddy, WB4ARK and 4AK.
And 4AK, WB4ARK. Okay, Glenn. Well, George's signal dropped in level here, and the QSB went up. The QSB was not drastic, but it was there, and he was totally copyable the whole time he was transmitting, but definitely made a difference in the signal level and the QSB. I attribute the QSB to the signal level. I've seen in the past most stations that have a low signal level, if the QSB is present, is higher on that station than it is on other stations that have a higher signal level. Well, yeah, I don't know. Brian was in Rome, and so now he's moved to another area. I don't know exactly what he's doing unless he's making a whirlwind tour of that area, but I sure hope he stays safe. The conditions can be rather drastic in some of those areas, and I would be a little bit worried about his circumstances. I guess that's about it for me. I'm going to say 73, and we'll stay around to the end. So over to W4MEC. This is WB4ARK.
Okay, buddy. WB4ARK in the group W4MEC. I always bring up ART13 in test mode first to see where the frequency is, but it's holding pretty good this morning. It's a little cool. chilly in the shack here, and it can make a difference from when I start the net till I end the net. But we're still a couple hundred cycles high or something. So, let's see. Yeah, I remember reading about you talking about that first sustainable nuclear reaction, but to read about what they were doing prior to that, a lot of those people died because they really didn't understand what they were dealing with, and they would set up experiments, you know, in the classroom, in a lecture hall, and they would move this stuff around, and you know, say they move this nuclear material towards this other nuclear material, and the Geiger counter would go crazy, and they were irradiating everybody in the place, and they had no clue the danger they were dealing with back then, back in the 30s, you know. But I guess they figured it out. Lawson, yeah, he is an expert on amplifiers. The man knows more about the Pi network and how they work and how to make them work best than anybody I've ever met. And he loved to convert the Dentron amplifiers for some reason. He liked the Dentron, the power supply in it. Basically, it was real tough, and that was his main critique on so many amps, was the quality of the power supply. And he didn't think much of MFJ, those power supplies, but he thought it was unique. What they did was unique, you know. So how they cranked out all those Ameritron, cranked them all out. But anyway, yeah, you got that info right on him. There used to be WA4 EMF, and he did change it there. So I got your new address here, Glenn. I'll put it in the old friends roster there, and update that, and in case anybody's looking for it. Let's see what else I got. It's foggy out here. I finally looked at it in the little bit I got between a couple of rigs, and it's foggy out there. So I haven't walked outside yet, put the bird feeders out. I'm going to have to take care of that here in a few minutes. And I'll go check the rain gauge. We got a pretty good rainstorm all yesterday evening, and but no ice, thankfully. Let's see. Back to you, Steve. N4LQ in the group, W4MEC.
W4MEC, N4LQ, very good round. First of all, George, your signal dropped way down on the butternut vertical, which makes all kinds of sense. I think you've done that several times. And I guess for people that are the farthest away you are, the less difference you're going to see, I guess, because of the radiation takeoff angle being lower on the vertical. So there's some advantage to it, I suppose. I think Cliff would be farther away than I would, so I guess that has some effect. Let's see, as far as John's question on screen grid modulation, the answer to all of that is a term known as the flywheel effect. And the flywheel effect of an LC network, particularly the tank circuit of a transmitter or amplifier, has an effect on the modulation percentage. And I can demonstrate that here on my my LP700. Right now I'm looking at 105%, well, between 100 and 105% positive peaks, and real close to 195 to 100% negative. And you don't see that the 20% negative peak modulation that's in theory would be there because of the flywheel effect. Basically the tank circuit fills in the gaps in the modulation. So you can have a screen grid modulation with a real high percentage of positive modulation, and real low negative, but by the time it goes through a tuned circuit, that gets evened out. And when you use an amplifier, that phenomenon is actually even increased even more, because you're going through more tuned circuits, and then your antenna tuner increases that even more. You end up with what looks like plate modulation on the modulation monitors, and from what people hear, it sounds about the same. And the Q of your tank circuit also affects that. So if you've got a real high Q tank circuit, that flywheel effect is even greater, and it can even it out even more, although it can actually distort your modulation. And the loading also has an effect on the Q, and if you got a lot of loading, it'll tend to even out the modulation. Complicated stuff. All this doesn't apply to sideband, only to AM. And W4EMF, I didn't even know it, but he lives real close to where I used to live in Charlotte, just down the street, and I didn't know he was there, and maybe he wasn't. Maybe he's moved since then, but I saw his face on QRZ, and he looks very familiar. I think I've met him before, and he's LAW SON, and the lawnmower engine was an LAU SON engine, and they did get bought out by Tecumseh. I looked it up. Anyway, over to this will be our 73 round, and we'll turn it over to Dave. WA4LLR N4LQ.
Okay, Steve, fine business. N4LQ, WA4LLR. Yeah, it'd be good to see Lawson. I've not seen him. And well, let's see, I may have saw him at Waynesville. But anyway, let's see here. George, very little difference where I am. You were very close to the same signal level with both antennas. The QSB might have been a little more pronounced on the vertical, but pretty close. Let's see what else. Charlie, you were talking about in those the atomic research, people not realizing the danger and getting exposed, like Madame Curie with her radium. But something I remember as a small child, I remember going to Sears in Asheville, and in the shoe department, I think they call those things a fluoroscope, but you could walk up to it and stick your feet in it, and on the screen you could see an x-ray of your feet. And that thing sat there and ran all the time, and people could come in and just x-ray their feet. They didn't know the danger of those constant x-rays. Anyway, Steve, thanks for calling it. 7-3, God bless, Lord willing. We will talk to you on Thursday. KZ4B, WA4LLR.
Okay, WA4LLR and the group KZ4B, fine business, Dave. A few comments, and thanks for your comments on the screen grid modulation, Steve and Cliff. Algeria. I never made it to Algeria. I've been all over the world, but I did a project in Algeria for an Algerian company, and they used the French electric code. And the French are just odd. They do everything different from everybody else just to be French. And for example, the French would with their circuit breakers would interrupt the neutral. Nobody else does that, for good reason. But that's the thing that stuck with me, is they like to interrupt the neutral. Why, I have never figured out. It's just a useless exercise. But anyway, and in some cases dangerous. Shifting gears, when Enron folded, Duke, everybody at Duke, Florida Daniel got laid off ultimately, and I came in through the Duke side, and Duke took care of their employees much better than Florida Daniel. I mean, we had a decent severance and all kinds of stuff. So if you worked for Floor, you got really screwed. If you worked for Duke, you only just got screwed. And shifting gears again, the Lawson lawnmower, it has significance in my life. My father, who he and his first cousin had to use push mowers in Florence, South Carolina, where grass grows like crazy. But they looked after the church cemetery with push mowers. And so my dad was intent on getting back, I guess, with his dad by making me start cutting grass at a very early age. So at the age of about 7, which I think is way too young to be operating a push mower. A rider, maybe. But my dad bought a Lawson 2-stroke push mower. And it, of course, had a Tecumseh engine, and that's why Tecumseh bought them. They used exclusively Tecumseh engines, and they didn't say Tecumseh, but that's where it came from. And so they figured, well, shoot, we ought to just buy the company. And but anyway, at 7, we moved into a brand new house on a brand new lot, and whoever cleared the lot did not grind the stumps. So all over the yard were stumps that stuck up about, so the chainsaw would clear it, up 2, 3, in some cases, almost 4 inches above ground. They were all pine trees. And I managed to whack a stump so hard with this 2-stroke lawnmower. I don't think it was but about 2.5 horsepower, but it bent the crankshaft. It did. Apparently, it didn't have a shear key. If it had a shear between the crank and the blade, it would have just sheared the key. But it literally bent the crankshaft. And my dad was extremely unhappy about that. But I was 7 years old, and the handle was way above my head. And so instead of watching where I was going, I was fighting that stupid handle that was way too high. And Dad had it down as low as it would go. So that's my Lawson story. I killed it. And I don't remember what he replaced it with, but I only whacked the one stump and bent one crank. And after that, it was obvious that my dad would have thrown a rod if I had bent another crankshaft, so I was very careful. So, on that note, I will pass it on, and I don't know when the cycle will end, but Steve, thanks for calling the net, and I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to make it to your place. Gary, if you would comment if you're going to make it, and to Steve's house, so there'd be a threesome. So, over to George. And George, I agree with the other guys. The vertical doesn't cut it, although I would have thought down there with the salty ground resistance, it would work better than that. K4GDN in the group, KZ4B over.
KZ4B in the group, K4GDN, hold a second. had the HQ145 on. Yeah, I see. I tried to get it down. Okay, it's better now. Anyway, appreciate all the signal reports on this. And right now, the antenna is not all that far out of the woods, and it's not as high as it could be. It's only about 12 feet off the ground. But the reports are mixed, and it would probably be the easiest antenna to put up when we move. And right now we're in the process of looking at some houses in the Spartanburg area. Hopefully going to be up there again next week and look at a couple. Not exactly sure when we're going to be moving. But anyway, be that as it may. And like I say, the vertical is fairly easy to put up. Don't have to get up on the ladder so much. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say 73. And Steve, thanks for calling in that. And everybody, thanks for all the comments on the antenna. I appreciate that. So with that, we'll pass it on to Stan. W4KR in the group, K4GDN.
Okay, George, K4GDN, W4KR. About the last 30 seconds were pretty tough, George. I had to kick the phone on to tell when your carrier dropped. I guess 7 minutes after 9, getting to be a little bit late for this distance. Steve, I forgot to. I had made a note of it early on, but forgot to mention it earlier. I think the audio, that screen modulated audio, sounds pretty good. Sounds very good in that rig, no question. Somebody after Gary's transmission, somebody commented about the Gonsa twins. A good friend of mine, very good friend of mine, long passed away, way too young, Cliff Helt, W8RYV, had a pair of Gonsa twins in a Ford Thunderbird. Now this is going way back. He had an early T-Bird, and he somehow got the Gonsa twins and the power supply into that car. I don't remember now how, but it worked pretty well. And let's see, what else for the morning? I talked about that. Charlie, W4WZ, regarding W4WZ. Yep, he was quite active in grief counseling via the Stevens Ministry, which is a going concern and very active and do good work. And, he was good people. With that, I'm going to say good morning. We'll see everybody lunchtime Thursday. I don't think I'll be on Thursday morning because I'll probably be leaving here about 9 o'clock because I want to make a stop in Greenville on the way anyway. So with that, good morning, and Cliff, here it comes, and take care, and we'll see you. Final thought. Yeah, Lawson was at Waynesville, and he was also at Shelby. So he did make both of them. WB4NKL, W4KR. See you later.
Yeah, W4KR. It's WB4NKL. Okay, Stan. I probably won't be here Thursday either. I'll probably leave about 8. Head that direction. Copy George, okay. I think the band's changing, but I'm still 100% copy on you that time, George. And that's interesting that I guess me and Dave are the only two that gave you a decent report on the vertical. So I guess it is a more distant antenna because of the angle of radiation. But Not a lot of difference here at this location. Be interesting if we had somebody on out west somewhere, or Middle Tennessee, to make that comparison. 73s, and thanks for calling, Steve. And I'll try to get back on 160 next night or two. Go ahead, Gary. K3OS WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff, thanks for all the comments, and look forward to seeing you some of you guys on Thursday. Over to you, Boone. Everybody safe travels. The weather is not has not been too cooperative. Anyway, WA4 EVK K3OS. See ya.
K2OS in the group, WA4EVK. Well, safe travels there on Thursday, Gary, and the rest of the group. Thank you, Steve, for holding the net. And George, you dropped down just a little on the vertical, but not too much change here. And with that, I'll say 73s and see everybody on Thursday, I hope, and turn it over to Jimmy. K4JAL, WA4EVK.
WA4EVK, K4JAL. Well, it's been a good net. A lot of interesting stuff went on. Dave, if you're still there, I used to go to Ivy's too, and it was our premier department store with 2 floors, and they even had an elevator. We'd go up there and look at our feet in our new shoes, get irradiated. Good fun. 7-3, everybody. N4AK, K4JAL.
Okay, Jimmy, K4JAL in the group, November 4 Alpha Kilo. Been very enjoyable this morning. Signals were very good. It's interesting, they were either 15 over 9 or 20 over 9. And it didn't seem to matter what power level anybody was running. So, let's see. Over to you, buddy. WB4ARK, N4AK, 7-3.
Yeah, I think he signed on the last go-around. N4AK in the group, W4MEC. Okay, well, John, I was cutting grass when I was 7 after my dad had his first heart attack. I took over lawn duties, and we had a Savage reel mower, R-E-E-L. I remember the Indian head, the Indian chief's head on the thing. It was green. And it did okay except for Bahia grass, which is what we mostly had. So he ended up buying a rotary. And, back then, there weren't many safety features on those things. I could start that thing and push that thing around. I was a pretty big kid at 7. And he said, don't worry about it, just run over everything. I swear. I said, okay. So, people walk around their yard picking stuff up before they cut. Now he just said, run over everything. I was 7 years old, so I believed him, so I ran over everything. But anyway, I just remember that. Remember that to this day when he was telling me about what I, cutting the yard with that rotary mower there. I think he got it from Monkey Water too. I remember it was kind of a bronze color thing there. And I still have that motor off that Savage Lumber's vertical, really have horsepower brings and squatting vertical cylinder there. I used it on a go-kart when I was a little kid. So we'll see y'all on Thursday morning. Maybe I'll make it to 1864 if I fix my 160 meter antenna connection. So good to hear all of you this morning. Oh, comment, George. You went down a little bit on the vertical, and it probably would have given a better assessment at the beginning of the net, but you were a lot more copyable on the other antenna. So anyway, 7-3 all. We'll see you later. N4LQ in the group, W4MC.
All right, guys, that was great. Appreciate all the comments. Thanks everybody for showing up today. And I hope to see some folks tonight on 1864, 160, 8 o'clock. And looking forward to the Golden Cabal there in Spartanburg Thursday at lunchtime. 73. It's N4LQ closing the Old Friends Net.
Steve, are you going to the luncheon, and Gary, are you going to Steve's to go to the luncheon? Over?
Oh yeah, we're both going.
Okay. I haven't decided yet on whether I can make it, but I'll let you know Thursday evening, one way or the other.
Thursday evening?
Excuse me, Wednesday evening. Thursday evening would be a tad late.
All right. I hope you can, John. I know that the trip is long to get over here, but yep, be looking forward to it if you can make it. Need to catch up on our technical conversations.
Roger. Looking forward to it if I can make it.
All right. N4LQ will be clear.